All right.
Oh, Jesus.
It's been
Do-
one of those days.
Do you remember the old Decoray ads?
No.
No, you don't. You don't remember the shampoo?
No.
Oh, that's not going to go anywhere.
All right. Cool.
Okay, welcome back.
Small willies and big egos.
We are back for another episode.
Just to pre-frame, I'm in a bit of a foul mood.
It's good. I'm enjoying the mood, and yeah, I will check back in at the end and see if there's any change.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Last week, tackling hard things was where we're at. Before we do that, tell us how's the week been in general for you?
Yeah, pretty good. I'm just in this transition period, I think, with work, and just now feel like just getting to the end of the year, and yeah, there's a lot of things that I'm wanting to work on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just that. Yeah, going back to Adelaide next weekend to sort out my house, sold my house. Yeah, I just feel like I'm in this period of time where I've got to work full time just to get to the end of the year, and then different choices, different opportunities come. So yeah, I don't know. I feel a little bit, I don't know. I feel blah today. So
yeah.
I'm not feeling the blahness of all the time, but just, I'm feeling blah today. So yeah.
It was interesting last night when you spoke about just the expense of traveling.
Yeah.
I have glass animals concert in a couple of weeks, and Bigsy just called me this afternoon, and it was supposed to be him, Jazzy and Holly that are going, and him and Jazzy can't come now. Just flights are so expensive to get back from Prossie to here, and then accommodation to stay. He said it's almost $3,500 for 2 nights for flights and to watch the show and have dinner. And he just said, mate, I can't. And I said, totally. I was like, mate, totally get it. But yeah, it's just, I guess, leading on from what you were talking about, flying home to Adelaide and just the expense of the flights at the moment. It's
well, what a joke, right?
Yeah.
To come to a concert within Australia and to have to pay that sort of money. Yeah, like flying home to Adelaide this week, the minimum flights were like $760 to fly home on a Friday at 11 a.m. and fly back on a Sunday at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
And to get any later in the day, I'm going up hundreds and hundreds of dollars, like looking at $1,100, $1,200 to fly home to Adelaide in a non-peak time. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
They wonder why people would just, not filtrating tourism within Australia, because it's fucking obnoxious. You know, being overseas and you can pretty much fly everywhere for $100.
Yeah. And that's what we were talking about last night.
Yeah.
It's a simple flight, and you know, even those smaller airlines that they did have, I can't remember the one that did fly to Proserpine, but Jazzy and Bigsy both flew it regularly, and they got rid of it. I think it was Rex or one of those anyway. It doesn't matter which one it was, but it's just more it was the ease of being able to fly. Yeah. And they had more flight options too. So yeah,
Totally.
We're in a space where it's getting more expensive, and definitely wages aren't keeping up. So hard things. Last week we had a pretty deep discussion about it, and I felt we came to some pretty cool outcomes. And one of the listeners had reached out to us. He's asked to remain anonymous, but he said his thoughts on it. He said, I think tackling hard things is essential for growth. Looking through a universal lens, I think that overcoming challenges is fundamental to everything that exists. For example, early life on Earth, like bacteria, had to adapt to harsh environments to survive, eventually leading to oxygen production. Seemingly small change, but one that altered Earth's atmosphere and made way for the many complex life forms. I reckon challenges are like opportunities in disguise. The choice to engage with hard things can be deliberate or imposed. We can seek challenges ourselves, or we can encounter them unexpectedly. While seeking challenges allows us some degree of control, external challenges often test us in ways we didn't choose, pushing us to adapt and grow, much like the bacteria. They allow us to grow in ways we might not if things were always easy. Kind of life's mechanism for natural selection. The universe is a constant state of entropy, a push towards disorder, and within the chaos, life fights back by adapting and organising itself. So when we take on hard things, we're tapping into universal principle, deciding to push ourselves forward, learn, grow, whether it's the bacteria evolving or us trying to reach a new goal. Embracing challenges is how we keep evolving. So that's my perspective. It's such an amazing question, and something that I've thought of a lot since resigning last year, especially lately with trying to start a new business, family, etc. think if you're going to talk about hard things in life and challenges, I think you also need to bring up the conversation about purpose. So, firstly, how did you feel about the reflection?
That one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still, for me, the piece around succumbing to the fact that we need to do hard things to grow. I believe that that's true, but I also don't want that to be the only formation of how we grow.
Yeah.
I think we really need to tap into the fact that, there's still that easefulness and there's still that, initiations. Because I listened to a podcast today and they said, what's the difference between courage and bravery? And straight away I went, courage is a choice, bravery is a situation.
Yeah.
You have to act within a situation. And can you be brave in a situation? But courage is the choice. And so for me, with these hard choices, it's the intention for hard choice. So that initiation and choosing that initiation. There's bravery in the hard challenges when they're actually just part of the universal journey that you're on.
Yeah.
But I liken it to deeper growth when you're actually conscious around the choices that you're making instead of just letting life have them for you, if that makes sense. So choosing more courage over bravery. Bravery is great because you're in a situation where you have to choose to be brave, or you can run. So honoring the bravery as well. But how much more powerful is it if we can choose and have courage to keep leaning into the hard challenges, because they're our choice, they're our awareness, and we're conscious to the ways that we want to initiate ourselves so that we can grow. Yeah,
I love that. I love the idea around the bravery versus the courage. That's not something that I have thought about a lot.
Yeah, because you just think a lot of kids are brave.
Yeah.
Because they don't have a choice a lot of the times. And it's like, we all have a choice. Yes, fucking spiritual bullshit. Yeah. We all have a choice. We're all making the choices to do the things we do. But conscious and unconscious choices are different.
Yep.
And a child has the choice to be brave in a moment. But they're also put in a situation where they only have those two choices. Courage comes from, you don't have to be courageous. You have to choose to be courageous. And I think that lies with so much more internal authority once you can choose to be courageous, not have to just respond to life happening to you, creating the life that you want through your own courage.
And with that courage, I think something that's dropping in for me now is around, I feel that I've noticed more recently people wanting to be courageous but not wanting it on their terms. So, looking at people that sort of go, oh well, I want to put my foot in the pond, but I'd like to do it my way, and I guess looking at that, to me that's definitely not the definition of having courage in life. It's the ability to be able to hold if someone's giving you something or telling you something, and then I guess maybe taking time to have some thought around what they're saying.
Especially around, I think I know what you're talking about, but I also believe as well, courage comes from the unknown. Yeah. So how can you create control around wanting something your way while also simultaneously wanting to be courageous in that? I feel like the courage comes from the unknown.
Yes.
So you have to be, surrender to the unknown for the courage to really be present. If you're like, oh, I feel like I want to be courageous here, or acting courageous or leaning in or doing all the things, but you're like, oh, but I want to control the situation. Yeah. There's not much courage around that because it's like you're just still teetering on the control of the situation.
Can you explain to listeners a little bit more about the idea of surrendering in a space? Can you elaborate a bit more on that?
Surrender. Surrender to me is trust. Trust in all things, and surrendering to the trust is the peace, really. And I think, I'm blanking right now.
Yeah, when I think of surrender, I'm thinking like, in a battle, because I'm thinking courage, I'm thinking bravery, I'm thinking battle. You and I have come in together, and I'm saying I'm going to surrender my arms and my army to you. Yeah. And I'm going to trust that you're going to do the right thing in this situation.
That could be one term,
that's.
But I don't. It depends. Depends if you're mapping surrender to giving up. Because I don't. That doesn't necessarily. in that context, what's the war? Like, are
Yeah.
you giving up your land? Are you giving up your pride? Whatever the thing is.
Yeah.
Surrender doesn't necessarily mean to be like, I'm giving up
Yeah.
my battle.
Mm-hmm.
It's I'm giving up to the, I'm trusting going into battle or surrendering to battle and
Yeah.
knowing that the outcome will be what it needs to be.
Yeah. Surrendering the fear you have before you go into the battle to face the battle. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, surrendering fear you have and entering the arena.
Yeah.
More recently, that I liken that to when you called me forward, and a couple of the men called me forward to reach out to those women in life that I felt I hadn't treated the best, and just dropped them a voice message. And I did it more recently to an ex-partner of mine, and geez, it felt good to surrender in that instance, but actually surrender to the intention of not receiving anything back. I was surrendering to trust the universe that this was the right thing to do in this moment. I didn't know there was complete uncertainty in that moment, but yeah, that's definitely what I can feel or see, the picture that came into my head.
Yeah.
Certainly.
And as much as I love I love these words, surrender and trust, and I don't know, part of it's jarring me right now around, like, I don't know, just the way it's used a lot in this industry, and you just got to surrender, you just got to trust. Yeah, but you also got to create actions
Yeah.
and fucking work for what you want. You know, it doesn't always work to just surrender. Like, what does it mean? You know?
Well, the more I step into the realm of spirituality or whatever people want to call this space now, I don't even know what it's called. Yeah, to me, a lot of the words are new, and they're not. That we don't have. I don't have automaticity with them yet.
Yeah.
But definitely, like, when you point them out and I see them more, I find it on socials and stuff. I actually find it quite hilarious. I believe what you're teaching me is it's not the word you're using, it's the action that goes with the word. So if I'm surrendering, what are you surrendering with or to or for?
And why? Yeah. Yeah.
So that, I think that's a really important part for the listeners to understand, that it's words are so important, but then they can be so automated as well. Like they can become just part of our syntax or part of our like we don't actually understand the etymology or the reason that we're using the word. We just start using I
don't feel safe. Like, I feel like that's getting thrown around a lot, or when there's any part of conflict or disconnect, it's like, I don't feel safe now. It's like, what does that mean? Like, we've cultivated safety, and I don't know, I think people just need to take a lot more responsibility for their own internal safety. As much as I keep working through these scenarios with different men in different circles in different places, there's so much ownership on, like, the place being safe. And it comes back to you being safe.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know where I went there. It was just present.
Well, speaking of safety, I know you shared it, I'm pretty sure today, the babies with the snakes.
Yeah, fear.
Yeah, so fear. So I don't know if listeners have seen it. There's a viral video at the moment going that fear doesn't actually exist. It's something that we...
It's a thought, it's a reaction to other people or other people's fear of whatever. Yeah. There was babies in the video that were all, fucking new, like 6 months?
Probably 6 months to 8 months,
year.
yeah.
They were crawling, I would say, and just playing around with, big carpet pythons, and the parents were off screen, and the kids were grabbing them, poking them, and, and the doctor was just saying that, like, if the parent has a fear reaction, then the child will check, look, and go assess, and then be like, okay, there's a problem here, instead of being like there was no problem really at that stage, because they were trained snakes. But it's also, it's very interesting, like instinctual around, the child isn't locating the fear from the animal, but it's also instinctually checking its perimeters and parents to be like, is this okay or is this not, And I think it's cool to be like, the parents were freaking out, and it's like, there was no reason to be freaked out as well. So you're then creating a program within your child around something that doesn't necessarily need to be there. Yeah. Which also, it does need to be there, because if a child's playing with a snake, then it could be bad. There's both sides of it, but you could also get your child up and move them away and educate them on how to move safely, instead of being like, there's a freak out problem here. And no one really deals well with increased nervous system, like dysregulation through fear. So a lot of people don't react or respond very well when they're within stress.
And it's sort of the start of that, and at such a tender age, it's not the very start. You can delve far deeper into it, but it's the start of the trauma response in the child's life.
Yeah.
So really interesting. Coming back to the conversation of purpose today, I thought I'd start with a question to you, and I know it's a big question, but do you feel you have a purpose in life right now?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, simplistically put, I teach this with a lot of people, is that my purpose at the moment is to live in alignment with my values and my alignment with what I want my design of my life to be. And so if I'm constantly working on that part of my life, I feel like that's my purpose. It can get really, oh my God, encapsulated in having to have like a career or something like that has real, documented, this is my thing. And if I don't do this, I'm out of alignment, which it can be for some people. But I feel like with that, there's this constant drive to needing to achieve something, to create a purpose, to be fulfilled, or validation of self through external things. For me, my purpose is my happiness, my confidence, my authority, who I am, how I show up. And the more that I live that, the more beautiful and abundant my life becomes, because I'm in alignment. I think deeply, if we're just in alignment, that's on purpose for me. And that's, I think, a big thing that people aren't on purpose. Like I read a statistic here around purpose. In 2019, Lincoln study found that 75 people want career where they feel they have purpose, but only 38% believe they have that. And it's, again, we're relating it to career always. It's always the purpose comes back to career, or how we're serving, or how we're showing up in life. And we're trying to create a purpose when we're actually not sure what our values are and what's important to us. And people think they have values. Like we've done values together, and I've shown you what you think your values are and what your values are. And wanting is having. So the values are what you actually live by, your life by. And I've talked in previous times around like relationships, like potential. We look at someone's potential, but like their reality is their reality. So how their actions and how they're showing up is the person that they are. And that's how they will continue to be until something changes. So it's like reality with purpose. It's if you don't know your values or your desire to be, how can you live in alignment for that? And how will you find your purpose? That was very long-winded.
No, it's actually my brain. I really listened to that. I think it's there was so much there. Thank you. I really enjoyed that. Where my brain went with, the idea of purpose is that I constantly hear this, words around leaving a legacy. So like, what legacy are you going to leave in life? What are your thoughts around that? Like we talked about purpose, you stated your purpose, but I feel like, I don't know if it's with social media or whether it's, with the prowess of sports people, or just the people in life that we, or not we, but people aspire to look up to. And, I hear that word constantly, like what sort of legacy does LeBron James going to leave, or what sort of legacy is Donald Trump going to leave? And then for a lot of people, I don't, working their 9 to 5s, they're doing their thing, and they're feeling smaller and smaller and smaller on the blip of what is the universe. And they're like, well, I'm not leaving anything here. I'm just doing my thing. And now I feel infinitely smaller because I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, I feel like there's a few pieces with legacy. I feel like if you're inspiring people, that's part. And there's that Instagram story around, in 100 years, no one's going to fucking remember you. Your photos are going to be gone. The house is going to be gone. Someone's going to be moved in there. Things are going to have changed. And you're not going to be present in anyone's society anymore. And that's also relevant for Nobel Prize winners and all these other people that are just amazing at what they do, but I've never fucking heard of them. But the impact that they've had on whoever they are close with, I just remember my grandfather, Norman. I never met him. My middle name is Norman, from him. And my family just talked about him all the time, about how he was and how he's, his prowess and just his confidence and all these sort of things, and how he showed up and how he cared and how he lived his life. To me, that's a pretty beautiful legacy, and do we need to strive that the whole world needs to know how good we are?
Yeah.
Or can we just impact the people around us? And I thought about this a lot today because I was quite triggered today around like perception of you and legacy. If we're talking about external references, how many people are truly going to know who you are? And so is your legacy just something that's documented on a piece of paper that said you did X, Y, and Z? And does that validate you for the next 3,000 years? Yeah. Or does it come down to, I feel like my legacy and what I want my legacy to be is when I'm laying on my deathbed, I'm like, fuck, I'm happy to go. Like that's more important to me than how someone else views me.
Yeah.
Because in the end, it's going to be me dying on that bed. Not everyone else going, oh, like, man, it's okay for you to die now. We can see how good you are.
I love that. What's alive for me now is the picture of my dad has, you said grandfather. My dad has a picture of this wall. It's an old man and he's under a street light. It's a painting. And he's wearing one of those cool little beret style hats. And it's just a street light. It's pretty dark. The mood I'd say is glum. And I said to my dad, who's that? And he goes, oh, that's Jiddy, which is his dad. And I said, he looks pretty sad. Like you can't see his face. You can only see his back. And I go, that's quite a sad picture of like Jiddy. And he goes, like on the contrary, I disagree. Yeah. I believe that he's the happiest man in the world. He's standing under a street light by himself with no worries. Yeah. He's moving towards the end of his life. And what's alive for me now is that's legacy is the way in which the people closest to you can view you. Yeah. It's like, I don't know the impact I've had on 1,000 kids, and I love my kids, but I definitely know the impact you've had on me. I definitely know the impact I'm having on my father right now in our relationship, and the legacy that he'll leave for me is these last 10 years or so that I get to actually spend with him and go, I remember my dad. And that whole Matthew McConaughey quote, which I keep coming back to, is, parents are just there to be beautiful memories for their children. Yeah. And that's what I think legacy is now. I think it's the memories we get to hold of those people that are closest to us, and once we're gone, the memories that we get to leave for our children and those closest to us. I thought that was really really profound and really quite beautiful. Yeah, totally. I just looked up some statistics this week, and our study shows that 60% of adults are concerned with how they'll be remembered and the legacy they leave behind. But it's like, bet you 60% of people aren't really determined on what that is. They're concerned. Yeah. So many people are concerned with things in life, or they're not happy with things. You could probably bump that up to 80% of people. If you asked every single person, are you concerned? Not even concerned. Do you want to be remembered in a certain way? Yeah. They're going to say, yeah. Yeah. And then it's like, well, how do you want to be remembered? And are you living that life? That's what comes back to the purpose, right? So it's like, do you want to be remembered? Yes. What do you want to be remembered for? This. Are you living in that alignment with your values right now? Yeah. No. Well, so like you already know, right? If someone asks you the question now and you're like, oh yeah, like I do this, but I'd really prefer to be doing this. So you're going to be remembered for someone that comes home every night and whinges because you don't like your job and you don't like this, but deep inside there's that little inner person inside of you going, hey, just please go and do the thing for a little while. Yeah. Yeah, because for me, once you really figure out what other things that really excite you, once you start moving away from them, it becomes really fucking jarring. I said to Kristen last night when we were laying in bed, I'm like, I'm fucking so tired and I really want to go to bed. Part of me was like, I fucking hate that we weren't home at midday today having sex in the lounge room. Yeah. Because I was exhausted
I was like, I really just want to make love to you. And I could have done that as well. But part of me was actually like disconnected from like the day. And I'm like, I just want to go to bed, you know? And for me, that's a little bit out of alignment because I want the time and space to have the intimacy and the love that we have for each other. And I don't want to get stuck in the 9 to 5 mundane. I get home, I got to cook dinner, I'm tired. For me, that's a misalignment.
Yeah.
It's a deep misalignment. Not saying that there aren't sacrifices and times where that needs to be had.
Yeah.
Right now is one of those times.
Yeah.
But I also, when I'm out of alignment with those little things, I'm really going to push hard onto where I can bring those back in.
Okay.
You know, so if I make sure I'm up early on a Saturday, or we have more time to, you know, connect in that instead of like having a rush day and then getting tonight and be like, oh, I'm tired again. Oh, I'm crashing. It's the weekend. Oh, and then not having that intimacy. It's not necessarily love making, but it's just time, presence, intimacy, love. And that goes with my friends and everything. It's like cool. Similar to like work at the moment. I was like getting really constricted from work this week. And yesterday I went down to Tullabudra Creek at lunch and spent 40 minutes down there, took my shirt off and just laid on the beach. I was like, that's what I really needed. But I could have stayed on site, which is just around the corner from the beach, knowing that part of me doesn't want to be here. Cool. What other thing can I implement into my day to bring me back into more cleanliness around what I'm doing?
Yep. And it's like the time piece that you said to me this week around where am I putting my time, whether it's on Hinge or any of these dating apps, and is my brain wasting that time, which is going to make me more tired in the scheme of things? Speaking on that, I actually deleted it.
Hinge?
Yeah, because there was the word intention for me was the one that really got me deep inside. It's like, what is your intention? And so I think that, you know, coming around about way back to purpose is, what's your intention for the things you're doing? What's the purpose of it? And then is it aligning with your values as well? Because if
your goals. And your goals is huge. Because a lot of people are trying to align values as well, or figuring out their values. Well, they're not also looking at their goals or what they want to achieve. Because then we figure out what our values are. We're either living to them or we aren't. But then we have goals that are potentially going to have value shifts. I care about the environment, but I'm doing this. Do you know what I mean? So your values this, but you're living your action this. So it's creating clarity around all of them. And to have goals creates clarity around choices that gives you actions to take for your purpose to get to your goals. So coming back to like you deleting Hinge, what did you come to? I guess we had Circle last night, and I prompted a question around intention around dating, catching up with women, and what's the overall, like, you know, you're looking for love. And there was some clarity yesterday around like you just wanting to go on a pizza date, or I have this moment. So what changed from last night around intention for having Hinge, and what's made you delete it?
Well, Adrian's couple of comments about surface level conversation, and that's not what I want at all. And I felt like the big bit was time for me around what you said around how are you spending your time? Like I have work which I'm loving this week. I've got this big race that's going to be coming up, but then I want to keep doing these things like going to Tullabudra and swimming, not worrying about checking my phone for that. I feel like this morning I went and swam there, this absolutely gorgeous woman in the shower, and I said, good morning. And there was a beautiful interaction of, hey, how are you? Good. And she's like, this is the best part of the day. And I'm like, I love it too. And I didn't need anything more. No. I wasn't going in to go, oh, hey, do you want to go out and get a pizza, or do you want to go and do something later? I actually was like, there's a beautiful interaction. And then I went to lay in the water and I'm like, life is good.
Yeah.
Life is good.
And it's also the harder way to meet people.
Yeah.
Hinge is the easy way. And it is. That's why we were in Circle last night. I said to Mao, if you're going to speak to anyone on Hinge, you need to do it via voice note. Message. And be intentional around, hey, I think you're pretty. Your context around what you've put in your profile looks like something I'd be interested in. What are your thoughts? What are you here for? Blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, it's interesting. Again, I wonder if now we've just taken away the thing that was challenging you. You know, that then... And so maybe you'll re-implement it. You know what I mean? It's always, it's trial and error around take away, put away. Because we were also talking around Circle last night around people, you know, quitting cruxes or things that they'd normally tend to avoid things. and then stopping things just for the sake of like, I can stop something, and then asking, well, what's your intention behind that? It always comes back to intention. And because intention means you've thought about something, not, oh, well, yeah, I'm just going to do this and see what happens. But why? Like, what is the desired outcome? You don't always have to have a desired outcome. You might not always know the outcome, because the outcome can always be different to what you think you want and what you need. So you may get something different for that.
Yeah, definitely mine was time at the moment is around, I feel like I've worked really quite hard this year on finding a space where I'm enjoying a bit of life flow. And I feel like I just finished my celibacy, which was amazing for 6 months. And
so he's back on the market.
Yeah, that's it. And yeah, the intention right now is to meet. I've always wanted to meet someone naturally. I just have this thing inside, and I'm quite cool with like how you, Kristen, met. Like you'd seen each other and then you connected.
It was very natural.
Yeah, through Insta. Like I'm totally cool with that. But there's just this element.
We're connected through the souls and the ether, bro.
Of course.
It was just the Instagram was the format that brought our souls together.
I know, but I'm
just joking.
I love the idea of going to a run club or just wherever I am, going out to, like I said, if we go out to Miami Marquetta soon.
It's just trust. Again, it comes back to this trust around, are you going to find your lover from like searching, or are you going to trust and listen?
Yep.
So for me, it was trust and listen. So the trust and listening came from Lavon when I went home to Adelaide telling me that I'm going to find the love of my life when I go overseas. A lot of abundance of money, time and energy are going to come into my life. And so I went, okay, cool. And I had Hinge when I was over there purely for the intention to meet people while I was traveling. Because it was like, oh, that seems like a pretty good format. And to put it in my post saying, hey, I'm traveling, not looking to just fucking have sex or do this. I'm actually just looking to connect with people over there, and ended up using couch surfing and found that anyway. So again, my intention when I opened that app was very certain around what I wanted. And sleeping around wasn't part of that journey for me. One of the bros from Circle's calling.
And I definitely, I feel the same way at the moment. And I love, and thank you for prompting that inside. It's like, if I open it up again, what's my intention? But I didn't think about much of that, and I am super grateful that I think that we got to clear the air for the men too around celibacy is what is your intention going into it, but then what is your intention coming out of it, and that was definitely not something that I had totally thought about in the realm of like what that actually meant. But look, enjoying the new journey and understanding those new parts and those new bits. But right now it's time and feeling. And it just didn't. It honestly felt a bit icky. It felt a bit leaky. It felt a bit unclean for me. And so I'm like, that's not it right now. So I'm happy to not have that. And then in the future, I feel like I'd love to have more of a discussion on that in one-on-one. But I just think, just circling back to what you just said at the end there, because we talked about this in Circle last night, is like having the intention to go into like a 6 month celibacy or no drinking or time off running or whatever it is that having like a deep intention and why as to what you are wanting to achieve going in, but then also how we're reintroducing that back into our life. Because a lot of the times, like I've seen someone, one of the bros, I think he's doing 90 days without coffee. And he's like, oh, that first coffee is going to be hectic. It's like, so what was the point? If it's just, okay, my 90 days is up, bang, I'm having coffee again. Did you want to give up coffee? Did you want to see how your body operated with coffee? Did you feel better not drinking coffee? And so if you were to drink coffee again, why? Is it because you just love the taste of it and you just wanted to see how you did fucking perform or relate to it when you had the break? Or is it just, I achieved the thing? Am I doing it to just achieve the thing? But I'm actually not putting any presence or knowledge into, or wisdom taking away from the thing that I've done. If we just go back to the norm or the automated system, you know, that's the thing. It's like we spoke about last week. It's the hard thing. It's it's almost like a badge, or like the badge of honor. I did the 90 days. Thing. I did the 70 days hard, 75 days hard, because there's always an outcome in that realm. But I love your idea of like, do the 75 days hard, but what's your intention? Is that I love the idea in that one. You're supposed to read 10 pages of a book every day.
Yeah.
My intention of doing it is because I want to implement reading into my life.
Yeah.
And so I came out the other side and now I read all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you fucking hate reading. You know, and you figure that out and you stop trying to force yourself down to read or journal or do something else that someone else says you should do.
Yeah.
And also being open in that time. For me, when I did 75 hard, it's the thing that stopped me drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
You know, so I didn't intend that.
Yeah. Can't wait to have the beer after it, right?
But I didn't intend for that to happen. And I was like, oh, wow, cool, I don't want to drink anymore. Yeah. Oh, wow, that's a big piece that came from it. Because 75 hard was just, at the start, was, okay, cool, my intention is to just clear some time and space within my brain to focus on some other things, not necessarily heartbreak and all the things that I was going through. Cool, let's hyper focus on something to see if that can pull me out of some of the shit that I feel. Not to avoid some of the shit I feel, but also give my brain and nervous system some time to just recalibrate and get out of the intensity. Intensity. And it's like, cool, let's just focus on myself and be open to what the universe wants to give me in regards to like what I'm going to listen and receive when I give myself more focused time.
Yeah.
Because that's for me what it was.
Yeah. So purpose, intention, outcome, what are we wanting to achieve in something? And also, I believe, you know, enjoying the good bits of life as well along the way, having some fun, having celebration, having some smiles. All of that is wonderful, but uncertainty is something that comes in a lot now, and something that I believe is a huge fear. Aside from death, nothing is certain in our lives. So nothing is completely certain apart from death. And recently listening to a podcast, I usually talk up the Imperfects podcast on here.
I wonder if they can give us a mention.
Dr. Emily always talks about that we've become unpracticed at uncertainty. And for example, she spoke about phone rings. Back in the day, the phone would ring. There's no caller ID, right? You know, you say to your mate, we're going to meet at this spot. There was some uncertainty, right? That you didn't know if you were hoping they were going to turn up at that point. And everything, well, a lot of things in life now, we constantly have the control. We have basically you need a medical idea or something. You go and Google it, right? You got something wrong with your finger.
We've taken the adaptability out of it.
Yeah,
we've taken the oh fuck, he didn't rock up. Oh cool, I'm gonna go here now. Instead of being like, well, yeah. We were very accustomed to the unknown and uncertain things because we just had to fly with it.
Yep.
Now there's just so much control over wanting certainty. Certainty's boring.
Yep, that's right.
It's so boring.
And it's the same. Like if you go back to Hinge, there's the certainty of seeing the person there and getting some information on them already.
Yeah.
The uncertainty is going up to the person and having the conversation and not knowing what the outcome is going to be.
Yeah, I always found it interesting. I think like when I had Hinge, I didn't have any information in regards to what I did. What's the point? Like, I get that you can also then like check whether they're in like values and all that sort of stuff. But how much can you gather from? Oh, he's an electrician. What the fuck does that mean about my personality?
Yeah,
not much.
You would have had spiritual on there, surely.
Oh, spiritual as fuck, bro.
So my question on uncertainty, the first one, is that number one, you're spiritual, but two, do you think that this control that we have in the world is part of this mental health epidemic that we have?
I think social media is such a fucking
I've got a piece on that here.
I think like phones, man, are just a massive piece around mental health and the disconnection of like interpersonal connections and us meeting each other and meeting in those moments of anxiousness or excitement or unknown or, social media either stops us from doing that or it distracts us from even attempting to go find that. It's just constant. Yeah, I find myself as well. I'm trying to really focus on this in the mornings, just not even touching my phone.
Yep.
Because I feel like that dopamine, like wanting to get on, like, has anyone liked anything? Is there anything there? Has the guys written anything in the circle? It's like, wow, I don't need that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel it's funny because social media doesn't create any certainty with anything because it's all, It was funny because Joe Rogan said the other day, I feel like social media is the only place where you can actually get wisdom or knowledge, but you've just got to search for it. Because you're not going to get it from the mainstream media or the governments or any sort of reputable fucking sources these days. You actually need to find it. And probably that's one of the only good things about social media is the ability for you to have different perspectives and different knowledge and database, I sort of digressed a little bit there.
That's okay. I liked a piece that I grabbed off there. It's being at a place of uncertainty is hard, right?
Say that again.
Being at a place of uncertainty is quite difficult for a lot of people these days. So if something's uncertain, we tend to worry. And then we try to create safety in that space like we spoke about earlier. But worry is there to prevent bad things from happening. So for a lot of people in life now, they're creating worry around something that hasn't happened. So they don't go and do the thing. Like people don't go out to dinner anymore. They're like, oh, I'm not feeling well, 20 minutes before we go, because there's a little bit of uncertainty that, they might be a bit tired tomorrow or they might be a bit this, they might be a bit that. This is something that I've been really attuned to lately. And I see it at school. I see it with the students that are coming. They're always worried. They're worried about it. They're worried about the test. They're worried about... I was never worried about things when I was young. I was worried if I was riding home my bike and the street lights were on, because I know I was copping a whooping across my backside if I wasn't home at a certain time. But the levels of worries I see my mum constantly worrying. People are worrying. Like it's like they're in these states of constant fear due to uncertainty in their life. And if they just like grabbed a hold a little bit and did the thing or spoke the truth, or stepped into the realm, the arena, and tried the new thing, they would realize that story that they're making in their heads is absolute bullshit, or the story they think that someone else is thinking of them, it's usually completely not. And so like I invite, this is something it's so alive for me at the moment, is like I invite the listeners, is like, if you haven't spoken to that friend for a little time, just call them. The story that you're making up in your head, or the thing that someone's moved away, or that someone's done something. It was like when I spoke about my principal, and you're like, a few episodes ago, and I'm like, oh, she probably just hates me now, and she hasn't. And you're like, how do you know any of these things? How do you know any? And that's that realm of uncertainty in life.
But we're living in a world of certainty around our story. We're certain that the story that we're telling ourselves is true.
Yeah.
So we're letting that be the certain thing. So that's why we stick to that. It's safer to create certainty of the unknown within our own story, so that we don't have to then lean into conversating with so many different things. You know? So we're creating a torture of certainty, which is unknown, but we're creating it as a reality.
Correct.
That we know.
Correct. And then I think that leads on as well to another word that I was thinking about around regret. So when we feel regret for an imagined past, but we've never had the opportunity to have played out the alternative. Right? So like, I regret not speaking to the person, or I regret not, going on that holiday or doing the thing. But we don't actually know the outcome that was going to occur.
Especially when we still have the ability to do the thing.
That's it. But then the do the thing steps into the uncertainty then again. It's like, so you're in this loop of going, well, I didn't do the thing.
So I'm more comfortable with the regret of the uncertainty than leaning into the discomfort. Of the conversation.
And so then I'm going to create worry about the uncertainty that I haven't done, of the regret that never happened.
Yeah.
And now I'm sitting in this absolute melting pot of just garbage inside my head. And so then I create a new story, another safety story. That's going to keep me safe. And then the worries here and all these parts are just, and I can only speak from this because that's what I've done for an extended period of time. And the more I listen and the more I delve down into words like worry, regret, uncertainty, I start going, wow. If we're talking about buzzwords that we spoke about earlier, well, you know, these are all words that we don't actually think about, but they're automated. Like, I really regret that I never went and spoke to that person. So go and speak to them. And it's like, you don't have to have all the words. It can be clunky, and that's where it can be super clunky.
And then we also have the people that are projecting that onto other people so that they can live in their world with them.
Yeah.
I'll talk about it. My auntie, I had a bit of a disagreement with my auntie the other day because I'm in love and I want to marry this woman and I want to throw all the fucking eggs in the basket with you because I'm in this and I know that I'm in this.
Yeah.
And we've had a couple of chats with my auntie, and my auntie is one of the most closest people to me and people that I really care about, and I want her to trust my knowing. We just talked around. She brought up money a few times, like, oh, what does your partner do? What is this? What is that? And I'm like, it doesn't matter. None of that matters for me. Yeah. What matters for me is my love for this, you know? And then there was another thing because I just sold a house and it's like, oh, are you going to sign it? Like, you should sign a prenup. Not, are you going to? It's like, you should sign a prenup. And I had enough. I was like, your fears around life and things going bad is not me. And I don't want to deal with this anymore. I don't want to deal with this conversation because it's not fucking in my world. It's not in my realm because I trust the universe to give me what I need. And if I was to marry someone and they were to take all my shit, there's a lesson there for me. Yeah. Or I'm okay with it because it's just, I just trust. So it's like we have people that have their own fears, their own anxieties and their own choices that they're obviously potentially regretting, not making. And then that filtrates into everyone else. And then this is where the ripple effect of people growing and doing the work goes out. And also the ripple effect of people not doing it and projecting on and creating fears. And that, you know, we're in that constant ocean push of people doing the work, people not doing the work. And it's like, oh, wow, we're just constantly trying to get the ripples to overtake that way into like people trusting life and showing up and creating actions to get the things they want, while also bouncing back off the people that are trying to stop you from doing that because they're fearful of their own life. Yeah. You know, and it's showing support and compassion and care for all those people, but at times it's challenging. It's challenging for people's uncertainty and fear of the uncertainty or fear of the story that they've created for their reality of what they're certain of, projecting that onto other people. Yeah. You know,
I like that. And that leads into a quote that I had, and I love this, and I'd love to know what you think, how it lands for you. It's, rather than wasting time making the right decision, make the decision right. And like, so for your auntie,
I just take the right off the end.
Yeah, or make the decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make a choice.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. Like,
stop waiting for the outcome. Stop looking into the uncertainty. It's rather than wasting the time making the right decision, make the decision and just go for it.
Yeah. And I just feel like if you're coming home from work every week and you're like, oh, this is fucked. Oh, I want Friday. Oh, I want this. Go do an art class on a Tuesday. Go do something.
Yeah, and you spoke about this, about the, what's the clay one?
Like, Dirty Hands.
Yeah, Dirty Hands.
Yeah, just go do something different. It doesn't need to be a life changer, but just a circuit breaker life. Yeah. And go, hey, lover, do you want to go do this?
Yep.
Neither of you have probably ever done it, or maybe you're both going to hate it. Who knows? But at least you're going to like determine another value of something. So, oh, I didn't like that. Oh, I did like that. Hey, we should do that more. And that sparks a new friendship, and then it starts a new connection. Then you could go traveling with someone. All the things happen. But if you just go to work, come home every Friday, hate your job, there's no change. Yeah. And it's so fucking easy. Yeah. Like, they don't need to be big changes. They just need to be little shifts to see what you like and what you don't like.
And shifts are really uncomfortable. Speaking about a shift that's occurred for me definitely over the last month has been the food. And, you know, originally, I don't know if I spoke about it last week, but
you did, yeah.
Yeah, it's still ongoing, and it's changing things so significantly. A small shift, whether it's, you know, I can only speak about the ones for me, but more recently in the last few months, it's been no coffee, breath work in the morning, a little bit of journaling, as organic and well, for me, no sources at the moment. And these seemed like, I'm going to say silly, to be honest.
Yeah.
To me, 6 months ago, I'm like, coffee doesn't do anything. And like, what can breath work do? And these are all normal questions to listeners. It's like, that's foreign. It's probably going to do nothing. It's like, can I stop just for a moment in time each day for a week and put my hands on my legs, close my eyes and say to myself, in this moment, I'm all right now. Like that, that could be something as small as that.
Or how am I?
Yeah. How am I?
Yeah.
And just something, every small thing that we do can be the catalyst to such huge growth and change in our lives. But if you're not willing to listen, and like you've said so many times, and listening is very different to, I say to my students every day, you've got two ears and one mouth. You're listening twice as much as you speak. So zip it. But are you listening? It's not necessarily listening to the outside, and a lot of the outside.
I did a post yesterday on, I think it was yesterday, around your internal world. And yeah, in a lot of relationships, people are talking about communication, but if you have no presence with your own system and how you are showing up or how you're automated in life, you're not going to be able to create communication that's going to flow. Because if you don't have the time to just check in with yourself, how are you supposed to check in with other people? How are you supposed to understand other people if you haven't taken any moments to really get to know yourself? And that can be simply, like you just said, stopping before you walk out the door and just putting your hand on your heart and be like, how do I feel today? And it might be like, oh, I fucking don't want to go to work. Cool. Why don't I want to go to work? And then do it the next morning. Fuck, I don't want to go to work. Cool. Why? Okay, cool. There's something that needs to shift here. And you have the choice to make that choice. You don't need to keep doing the same thing over and over and over. Little choices, like you just doing the breath work and then finding when that becomes automated. Okay, am I just doing breath work now to stop thinking about this or love in your life or whatever it is? It's just constantly dropping in with yourself to seeing where the things start to become automated in life and where you're just okay with being enough. It's just enough what you're doing. Do you want to live a fulfilled, nourishing life?
I like that part as well. Something that I've really brought into play with my team at school, or definitely my teaching partner at the moment, is just checking in with each other in the morning and being honest. So if she's not like feeling great or really feeling up to it, like she'll tell me, and then I can say to her, like, can I do anything for you today? Like, can I go and make you a cup of tea, or can I help out? Like, I don't know, do some marketing, just anything. And all of a sudden, that individual like uncertainty or however she's feeling now kind of becomes not shared, but she's allowed me to bring my energy and my stability into her life, and it seems to regulate her so much more as well. And I do the same.
It's also just speaking the thing that's uncomfortable. Like, how are you today? You're giving her the opportunity to have the heart conversation before she walks out the door, because maybe in her life at the moment with whoever the fuck it is got 3 kids and the stuff with her husband's a bit hectic, or this is happening, and it's like she's not giving herself the moment to have that moment before she leaves the house, and you're giving her that moment. And we all have the opportunity to give people that moment to just let them drop in with what's true for them. And that's a big thing as well. So for the listeners, if that's, if you have the capacity to attune to yourself, where can you help other people attune to where they're at in life and give them some wisdom? And who have you got around you that actually brings that to you as well, I think is important. I
do too. And another thing that she brought to me was, like, a lot of afternoons she'll say, I really appreciate you, for being here today. And Jesus, you can have a rough day and say goodbye to those kids, and you've 2 minutes of silence, and then your teaching partner comes in and says, I appreciate you, and you barely saw them all day. It makes you feel, you just get this reminder that the day is still, there's so many hours left, and it's still so beautiful. And so, shout out, Jules. You're, you've definitely changed my life, and I'm super grateful for you.
Good on you, Jules.
Yeah, she's awesome. The last topic for today I wanted to talk about is, are we losing the opportunity for curiosity in life, or are people not understanding how to be curious in life?
Can you ask more? What do you?
Probably looking at the fear around. Well, I reckon communication to start with. So if we're talking like friend to friend, you know, being curious about understanding or wanting to learn more about another person through fear of rejection, fear of shame, or
Yeah. I don't think we're losing it. I think we're gaining it. If anything, I feel like curiosity, I don't know. No one taught me about curiosity as a child or as a young man or anything. I feel like if someone had brought curiosity into my life a lot longer ago, I'd be a lot more attuned to myself, my friends, my relationships, my family, and stop projecting my shit. Because I feel like the more we're curious, the more open we are to receive someone else's perspective in life. And I believe that curiosity is increasing in my world. I don't know if it is in other people's. I don't actually think it's present in a lot of people because people are operating from their own judgments, projections, and perceptions. Is that they don't know how to be curious. You say this, well, I say that. Well, you say this, I say that. So instead of they say that, why did you say that? I was actually listening to Terrence Howard and I think his name's Stuart. He's a mathematical scientist, and Terrence Howard is the actor that did the podcast with Joe Rogan about all the things around gravity and science and maths and all these things. And Terrence is pretty intense in regards to like his views on things. And so Joe Rogan interviewed him, and he'd interviewed Stuart ages ago. And Stuart's like a top level like mathematician, scientist, fucking guru. And Terrence was on there, and Terrence makes a lot of claims around things like, boom, I'm a teacher. This is the thing. This is true. And Stuart kept bringing him back to like, hey, you need to be more open and curious. So like, I don't understand what you're saying right now. So you just telling me that? I need to be here and you need to explain it to me, and I need to be more curious around how your mind thinks and where you're coming up with these answers. Because in the scientific realm and mathematics realms, there are formulas and there's things that we've proven or not proven or whatever. And when you speak from a place of like just statements or this is, the curiosity is gone. So he, instead of him going to Stuart, hey, well, this is what I think. What do you think? It opens more doors for them to actually learn about each other. And I think I said curiosity is one of the greatest things on the planet. It solves so many problems.
And like, I'm pretty sure we were brought up with that definition, or the saying "curiosity killed the cat." Aren't we? It's like because children should be seen and not heard. So like that just dropped in really quickly for me. The present. It's like I wasn't allowed to be curious because if I did ask, like why? Remember, I was called.
Don't you worry about that?
Yeah, I was called the why generation. My dad used to say that. You always ask why. I said, well, I'm generally like curious. I probably didn't use that word, but I'm generally just want to know, like why do you do, or what do you do at work? Well, why do you want to know? And it's like, well, I didn't know a single thing about what he did each day. I don't understand. Even down to the little things. I used to say, like, you know, are we poor? Like, do we have a lot of money? Because everyone else, all my friends and stuff, you know, seem to have all these really nice cars and things like that. And you know, Dad's always, we're doing fine. And it's like,
because you just shut down, aren't you? Constantly around being curious.
Can you? In
your most developmental stage of life, when you're a child, like my little cousin Flynn, he's just constantly asking questions, and it's like, answer them. Don't be like, oh, that doesn't matter. Not that I'm saying that's what happens, but I'm like, if they have questions, they're intrigued and they're curious and they're attentive to what's going on in life. So infiltrate them with information so that they can learn to know that it's okay to ask things. Instead of, it was don't be curious.
100%. And I was quite curious today.
I reckon I wrote a little poem on that. So you just keep going.
I was pretty curious today to find out a bit of information on my kids, and I said to...
Can I read it?
Yeah, of course you can. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I wrote this a while back. Curiosity killed the cat. Well, that's what they say. But for now, lay judgment away. Curiosity is my friend. It's the way to the heart. Curiosity shows interest, which will set you apart. Lead with curiosity, then you will know. Curiosity is the only way to go. It's the way we were meant to see. Removing the judgment, what a wonderful way to be. Curiosity killed the cat. Well, that's just what they say. Because this is something that I lent into ages ago, because I'm like, wow. And I'm just really, it's just cool that we are talking about that, because we were just told not to be curious. Shut the fuck up, we were told. Do as I say, not as I do. Why? not your business.
And so some of those parts that
Wow.
if we think about that now, some of those parts that come up now, I find quite difficult to be curious on because they were never allowed to be seen.
No.
So I don't actually know those parts. So it's like for me, it's easier to lie to you in a session, which I've done really well, because I was never allowed to be curious. So I was never those bits that wanted to come out or wanted to learn. You understand? Like you said, what is love to you? And I'm like, I don't know, because I would never be too scared to ask.
Yeah. Yeah, Dad, what does love mean to you?
Yeah.
How does love between you and Mum? Like, where did you find, like, what was love like?
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't ask any of these things because we were just shunned around.
And Dad, and unfortunately, like, he's getting better. Love you, old boy. Love you so much. But I know when he doesn't want to go there. I know straight away now, and I'll just divert conversation. Ask him, and he's just like, and I'm just like, cool.
Yeah.
That's. But I'm okay with that now because I'm learning. But yeah, it's.
Yeah, be curious. Everyone be curious.
Please.
Children, if your children are curious, just give them love and time, and answer the 8 million questions, or be like, hey, it's been a big day for me. Can we ask these questions another day? Instead, just reframing from shutting down.
Capacity is a really good one, team, too, for kids. So show them a cup full of water, and it's spilling over and saying, I don't actually have any more. Kids love to look at, or children love to see those things. And I taught my kids about that, and I can actually just say to them now, I don't have capacity to answer that right now, but I do have capacity for you. Yeah. So I'm going to answer that. Yeah, I'll answer that in the future. Yeah. And to flip that is like what I did today was I was curious about my kids. Yeah. And so I said to them, hey team, we did a couple of different exercises, but one of the ones I asked them, I said, if I could give you words that you'd want to hear when things were really tough. So you turned up to school and I talk about them having full backpacks. So they're full of emotions and they can't say anything. And then when they open their backpack, everything just spills out. And I said to them, can you write some words down of what you'd want to hear from me? And
yeah. Are you going to read any of them other ones? I feel like there's a contrast here. I feel like I want you to finish on that, but I feel like they are so important for you to read some of them, for the parents to realize what happens when you're curious with your children and what the potency of what some of those say on them. And I know they're challenging. Yeah,
I'll think about that today. Just there's some tough stuff in there, but.
So we're not going to talk about those ones now.
Yep.
But for other teachers out there, curiosity in an anonymous way to your children is very powerful.
It's huge.
And I don't know how parents could implement that around creating a space where...
jar. I always say, if you put a jar in the kitchen and you say, we're all going to share in this, it's a team effort. This is where we comes into it. And you start and you put a note in there. These are things that these are some of my fears. You got to teach. I always say to the kids, what's my job? And they say, you're a teacher. If I don't teach you how to do it, then you can't just put a jar and say, this is how we do it.
Yeah, you got to show.
So you got to show. Yeah. So whether it's a fear, whether it's just asking them, what are words? I think this would be a great one. What are words that you actually want to hear from me? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really powerful, those other ones. And it's because they're challenging. They're hard ones to... But you're also giving children to bring their unconscious or the things that they're holding in to a box where they can just write stuff.
Correct. Yeah. So I don't know any of these students as far as names. So the first one is, I'm proud of you and it's okay.
What was the question?
The question was, what would you want to hear from me if you turned up and you'd had a really rough day? Or really terrible morning. So they're coming in and this person wants me to say to them, I'm proud of you and it's okay. Don't worry, it's okay. No one's perfect. No one is ever perfect. Don't worry, I'll help you through this. It's just a period of time that you'll feel this way. You'll feel better soon. It's okay, I'll buy you some hot chips. It's okay, let's go out for a game. I want to hear my teachers say, everything's going to be okay and your life matters. No more homework for the rest of the week.
It's always one of those.
And we're having an end of term party.
That would have been me.
It's okay, I'll shout you some hot chips. I know who this is. It's okay, we can go out for a game of OzTag and do art for the whole afternoon. And life is not everything you want, and Mr. M really loves you.
I just think it's so profound from children of that age, and what really turns me on from that is that they have the messages, they have the things that they want to hear. Yeah. So inherently they have the things, they have the power, they have the mindset to be like, everything's not perfect, everything is okay. Whether they're wanting to hear that from you, there's internal dialogue there of I don't need to be perfect, I will be okay. Whether they're hearing that from you or not, to just have that thought is powerful and beautiful.
I wish, I don't wish, I'm grateful that I got to do it, but I would have loved to have just heard that from one of my teachers when I was at school, just for them to, you know, I know that that some of them were there for me, but I would have loved to have been able to express, because I could have.
And I think a lot of the time, again, this is like if we mimic circle, we probably heard a lot of this shit, but we didn't. Do you know what I mean? Like there's probably a lot of things that teachers did and said for us that
that went
straight over my head because I wasn't listening.
Yeah.
They don't care. Like they don't care.
Yeah.
You know, I was too busy being in my own fucking world and my own conflict and my own disconnection that someone probably said they love me and I went, oh, fuck off, you idiot.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, when you're in survival too, like a lot of my students in the years have been in survival, and so the word trust was one that I learned pretty early. It was like, you can trust me, and it's like, I don't trust the 75 people that come in and out of my home every night. Why am I going to trust you? I don't know when I'm getting my next meal. So it's the guy out of Prison Break does a really good speech on that. The lead actor, the one with all the tattoos, he does that on trust. It's fantastic. We might be able to link it in the show notes. That's actually, it's a really cool speech.
Start doing that because again, a bit more professional.
Yeah, so that could definitely one. I will link that in the show notes because it's really cool, and that you can learn a lot in just a short. I think it's a 10-minute speech or so, but definitely big on how we speak to others. It's like when we meet that partner, early in the relationship, you can trust me. If they don't understand what that means, you got to give them time.
And trust isn't a word.
Yeah.
Trust isn't
action.
Trust me. Trust is time, energy, actions, affirming, being, living, experience. Trust doesn't just happen.
Yep.
And trust comes from yourself. You're only going to meet someone that's ready to trust as much as you're actually trusting yourself, you know. And I believe that trust is self-responsible.
I can't show Jacob the book because we're on to the words. I need a little drum pad.
Okay,
the words. The words section.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Okay, so some it's not Gen Z, whatever the new one is. I don't know.
Whatever.
The latest.
Little turkeys.
Yeah, some slang. So the first word is bussin'.
Bussin'?
Yeah, bussin'. Bussin. Bussin'.
Right,
I can give you the sentence, yeah? Jacob, that food I'm eating's bussin'.
Oh, sounds like good to me. Like, I don't know, flavoursome, delicious. Fucking.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's like that shirt you've got on's bussin'.
Yeah. Fucking a little weirdo.
Basic.
Where does that even come from, though?
I don't know. I didn't actually get the context of the derivative of that one.
We need to actually find out where they come up with bussin'. Because some people like given. It's like, where did you come up with that?
Yeah. Basic.
Oh, that's got to be just relevant to what it is. You're boring.
It's someone who only follows the mainstream. So like, if we were hanging out, you're
a sheep.
Delulu.
I just go to real, for me that would be delusional.
It is.
Yeah.
They're so average.
What is it, Delulu?
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. You said it at Kristen Stone. So, you're Delulu, babe.
Oh, yeah. You're Delulu. Shut up, Rich.
Okay. You know what a red flag is?
Yes.
You know what a green flag is?
Yes.
What's a beige flag? Well, that's a beige flag.
Like a nothingness, like that comes back to boring again for me as well, like
odd or quirky.
odd or quirky.
Yeah,
beige,
yeah. So we can add that in now. And listeners, if you're getting into it, you know that
I like beige. I like that.
beige flag. So like
Yeah.
you are
beige.
you are a beige. I think beige. I think that's great.
Yeah.
Because it comes back to weird. And we looked up weird not long ago, and weird is like incredible.
It's about living in your purpose as well. Really.
So
living in alignment.
Yeah, beige flag is
beige
weird.
bitch.
Yeah, I really like
Quirky
that. You're a
fucker.
beige bitch, Reg. Look at you licking your face. Look, super grateful to have you on here today as per usual. But I want to ask you one question to finish. Is you were a bit frustrated, and this afternoon when you got home, how are you feeling now?
Yeah, feeling a lot better. I feel like, just get into the present moment. And I think, sometimes with frustrations like that, it's not necessarily removing yourself from the state, but just being more present in the things that are important. So for me, like podcast and alignment and those sort of things, like work it's got its challenges. Circle had its challenges this week, and this is presence for me. I get to drop into something that I really enjoy and really love. So it's hard for me to stay in that state, because I'm like, oh, now I'm in flow. Now I'm back to doing the thing that I want to do. And again, it reiterates, the more you're in alignment, the more you're doing the things that you love, the other things become less intrusive. You get to drop away and be like, oh, cool. Yeah, that was just that day. That isn't really that important in my life.
Yeah.
Circle was a bit different because I can really deeply care about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel good. I feel happy. And I'm excited that one of the bros who is needing a chat called, and I just honouring men that lean into these sort of things, having hard times and leaning into a conversation. So that it's nice to receive that while being in the podcast, while also having some disconnection from Circle a little bit this week. So knowing that there's another brother that's still leaning in,
needing support.
Yeah.
Well, as we always say, if you are struggling at the moment or you're going through anything, you're listening, Jacob and I are here, and there are stacks of services. Just speak to your best friend or your mum. Just share whatever's going on the inside, because I know from experience, it's just a few words can shift so much on the inside. So you are loved and you are safe.
And I brought the Labradorite stone in today because Chris and I got one each. And I just wanted to bring the energy of love and companionship and kinship and partnership, because this is a partnership, this is a friendship. And, we've created a portal that will hold us together while she's away. But yeah, just, you can implement stones and present things, because, it's another bit of presence to bring into this, and her energy and her love and our love. Which, it's just the little moments in life that if we take the time to bring presence to them, can create power. Like us praying every night with dinner has just brought so much awareness and time, and it's given me the ability to check in every single night with fuck, how am I? And so praying for us and for me and my partner has just been so influential in how I check in with myself and what I'm grateful for and what I'm praying for and what my intentions are for every single day.
Love you, bro.
Love you, man. Peace.
That's the sign off, because you always say it. Bro, that was epic. I was... What happened?